What's up guys, it's Brahamid here again with another video. This one's going to be a little bit different and it's going to be quite a bit longer as well. I don't expect a lot of people to watch this. You do quite well to watch the whole thing, but if you do, what you'll see is how I design an attack, so how I scout the base. I've tried to keep it fairly basic, but it's still quite detailed. How I'd scout the base, how I'd decide what sort of troop to use, where I'd drop my spells, etc. So the first thing I wanted to do is a bit of an intro, which I've slowed down a bit just to give me time to talk over it, because I don't feel like I need to rush too much for this video. First thing to do is just take a look at the stats, and I think this is really interesting. We used 78 of our attacks, which is only missing 2 attacks. The enemy clan did pretty well as well, using 76. But let's take a look at attacks won and attacks lost. They won 75 of their 76 attacks, yet we beat them. I think that's quite an interesting statistic. We lost 13 attacks, but what that is and what that shows is that we're attempting those 3-star attacks. They're not always working, but it's worth doing. I guess technically you could fail half of your attacks and still win a war, because you could 3-star on your second attack every time. Obviously it's not going to happen, but it does highlight the fact that it's better to attempt these attacks than not. You know, you're still going to beat these solid clans as long as you attempt and pull off some of your 3-stars. If you take a look there, 22 3-stars, 14 2-stars and 2 1-stars. The enemy clan, they got 13 3-stars, but they were our Town Hall 8s and they came down and got our Town Hall 9s with their Town Hall 10s, and then they've got loads and loads of 2-stars, and then the 1-stars, 2 of them, and I think they missed 1 base as well, so much more consistent. They're knocking out all of our bases pretty much apart from Duke. We on the other hand, we're getting fails. We're getting 1-stars, but we're cleaning them up. It's more the fails, I guess, that would worry you, and sometimes at the start of the war we'll get a lot of fails, but eventually things balance out and we get those 3-stars, and that's what gets us the win, even against a really good clan like this who, you know, they might not have the best bases, but they tried really hard, used a lot of their attacks, and got a lot of 2-stars. What gets us over the line is the 3-stars, and you've got to attempt attacks to get 3-stars. If you have a look at the bottom here as well, I think this is fairly interesting. I've stopped watching the new stars per attack now. At the end of the war, you'll find that that's an interesting stat. That kind of shows you how well you've done. If you're ahead on that at the end of the war, you've basically won. But what's more interesting early on, and I was talking about this with Mealy Pudding when I was with him, was average destruction. And if you look at our attacks, we're getting fails within that statistic, and we're still on 86.9%, and it just shows how much we're hold on, it's just skipped off my screen, let's go back. But it's just showing how much we're attempting 3-stars and how we're getting really, really close. And I think that is a lot more telling early on than the stars per attack. I used to always watch stars per attack because what the wars used to be based on was, you know, if you could 2-star your enemy up and down the board, and someone would miss 1 2-star and they'd lose. But now you're looking for those 3-stars, and I think that's a really interesting stat. Time per attack, average attack duration, is also pretty interesting. Obviously if you're up against a clan that were just awesome, they would have a low time per attack because they would wipe out your bases really quickly, but generally people are evenly matched, and even a good raid is going to take pretty much the full time allowance. So I think having a high average time per attack is also a good sign. Your attacks are well planned, you're using the full amount of time, and you're destroying a lot of the buildings. That's always a good sign, and I think that's really showed through here. And as I said, okay, we got the fails, but they were fails where in some cases we were getting 99%. I don't know if it was this war, but I think it might have been where one attack finished with like the P.E.K.K.A was swinging and about to destroy a building, that kind of thing. So as long as people are attempting 3-stars and they're not failing every single attack, then I don't really see a problem. I think we should continue doing that because people are only going to improve, and as we move up and get more powerful, we're going to encounter harder clans who can 3-star, and we need to be able to do the same. So really good. So what I want to do is I want to show you how I designed an attack against a fairly easy base, but still I think it should be interesting. I've got a slightly new system that I'm going to use to show it, so you'll have to bear with me, but let's go ahead and take a look at that now. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit difficult, so bear with me. I've not really used this before. I've downloaded this app called UDoodle, which I think is probably going to be the best way for me to demonstrate on screen what I'm trying to show you, rather than zooming right in on things and trying to click on them, etc. I should be able to mark on the screen. I haven't used it much, so if I start drawing random marks on the screen, I apologise. But what I want to do is just talk about how I scouted a base out, how I build up an attack. I'll probably say some stupid stuff, I'll probably miss some things, but I'll do my best to go into as much detail as possible and just sort of follow the thought process that I had. First thing to say is it's not the best base, so it wasn't the hardest one to scout out, but in a way that's good because I think it makes it fairly easy for me to talk about what it was I did, and the kind of things I was attempting to do and what I was looking for. And also it's just the most recent attack that I had, so it was one that's sort of fresh in my memory and easier for me to talk about. So let's see if I can manage to navigate this. Let's zoom in for a second and take a look. The first thing I'd normally do, and it's the one thing that's going to be missing here, but you can visualize it yourself, is check the range of the clan castle. And we looked at it in the first recap video, so if you really need to see it, you can see it there. But the clan castle essentially goes as far as this cannon here. Oh, my next video, recap part 3, is ready. That's what that beep was. Let's continue on with this for now. So that cannon there, that's a little bit wide. Let's make this a little bit smaller. This is a learning process for me as well, so you'll have to bear with me. And it came out to here, and to here, and I guess probably to here, I can't remember, maybe a little bit further in. But what that essentially means is the lure is very easy. I know we don't need to go into a lot of detail on this, we all know how to lure, but that is how I would first start out scouting a base. Where can I possibly get the lure? What are my options? Well, I can easily get it here, here, somewhere around here. I could get it from here. I wasn't sure if I could get it as easily from here and here. I think they were maybe on the borderline. And so what I did was, the one I highlighted extra large here, I got my lure there. The reason I did that is, I always think, well, when I'm doing my lure, what else can I get out of it? And if I deploy there, I can get the lure very easily, probably only needing, I kind of budgeted for 3 or possibly 4 hogs. If I'd gone somewhere a bit more difficult, perhaps at the side, this group of 4 here, let's say, I might have needed the 4 hogs for certain, you know, so that's 5 spaces already more I've used up just to get the lure. I might also not have destroyed a defense completely because they were under a lot more DPS pressure. So luring where the cannon is, I can take out the cannon, which is a good trade, while getting the lure, and I can also guarantee that I'm going to get all of the troops out. So I felt like that was going to be a good start. Now I'm pretty flexible when I'm doing my attacks, so I wouldn't necessarily stick with that. You'll see as I start to build up my thought process, I'll change my mind quite a lot, and I'll often cook my army. Say I'm going to do probably going to do a hog-based attack. I'll cook a load of hogs, a golem or some witches or whatever, and then when it actually, by the time I get to the attack, I probably changed my mind and made some tweaks. But obviously you've got to start cooking something, and that's how I build up my attacks as well. I'll have an initial idea in mind. So as soon as I saw this base, I thought, right, this is going to be a hog rider attack, because if you take a look at it, there's clearly no hog ring. It's set up for some kind of anti-go wipe setup. The buildings around the outside look like they could make a ring, but they're not defensive buildings, so really good one for hog riders. Let's see if I can manage to remove everything I've drawn on it now. Hopefully I can just go back, take them all off. I've accidentally zoomed out there, but there we go. So okay, I've cleaned it up a bit. So that's the lure, that's the first stage. Now that could easily change, because what might happen, for example, is if we come down here, I might have decided I'm going to bring a lava loon attack, and in that case I need to get the queen. I know you don't need a circling, but I'm just going to do it anyway while I get used to this system, and I could probably try and take out these 2. And what I would do to do that is not necessarily bringing 2 golems, but let's say I bring 2 golems, one's going to go in here, one's going to go in here. The queen would come out certainly to there, so that would be where my heroes would come through, from here and here probably. Obviously I would need to create a funnel, but that would be easy, there and there, perhaps knocking that out as well. There's no DPS pressure in areas like this, so it'd be easy to create the funnel. Let's just tidy it up again now. But then that would perhaps change the angle of my lure. I might think, well, I could take out, let's just clean this up. I could take out that air defense there as part of my lure, or perhaps I might think I'll take out this air defense here for my lure and then attack from this side. So you've got to be flexible, but that was how I originally planned my lure, and I did end up sticking to that. So let's clear that again and look at the next stage of the attack. Okay, so let's continue on to the next bit of the attack. I'm just breaking this into sections just because the equipment tends to cut out after a certain amount of time and I don't want to lose what I've already recorded. It's worth pointing out as well at this stage that I've had a few issues with getting out of sync when I've tried to talk over a recording from the iPad. It seems like one goes a little bit faster than the other over a period of time. So if I'm out of sync at this point, I do apologise. I will try to improve the technology. Ooh, little pop up there. I will try to improve the technology as I go along, but for now, just have to bear with me. So we've talked about getting a lure, which is fairly easy, and trying to get good value for that lure. Clearly that can change, and sometimes getting value out of the lure means you need to change the direction of it, but normally getting the clan castle troops out is fairly standard, and once you've decided what you're going to do, you're probably going to stick with that. The next thing I start to worry about is the queen. If the queen's higher than, well, level 5, then you're probably going to want to deal with her because she shoots fast and she does do a lot of damage, which means if you've got hog riders, she can sometimes take them out under heal if she's higher level, but even a low level one, she can knock out a hog rider in 2 or 3 hits if he's not under heal, and that can soon spoil your raid. So definitely you're going to need to get the queen. And initially my thought was I'd come in from here, and what that does is it informs where I'm going to kill the clan castle. So if you see here this little sign, I thought, right, I'll probably kill the clan castle there, get in and get the queen because she's nice and close by. That should be an easy way to get her. But you've got to think, what could go wrong with that? Well, I mentioned this in one of the other videos this weekend. Attacking under fire from a mortar. If you're using a 2-1-2 in the clan castle, the mortar is a danger. It's not going to wipe out your queen. It might not even target your witches, but if it drops on top of your skeletons, it can kill all of the skeletons, and that means the defensive clan castle will then retarget on your witches, your wizard, and your queen. And you can soon find that the defensive clan castle's actually overwhelmed your offensive clan castle, or whatever it is you're using to kill the defensive CC. So it's probably not the best place to, I'll try and guess the range here just for this bit, but probably don't really want to kill the lure anywhere in that region. But if you look off to the sides here, there's nothing that's going to shoot in that area. So really there's not much risk in killing the clan castle there. And if you think about the queen's range, let's just clear this up again. The queen's range, if we assume I'm coming in from this direction, is, I don't need to show the full circle, but it's probably like that. So she's certainly going to step out into the first area at least, that's guaranteed. So all I need to do is access this area here, yeah? I could do it from this side as well, but I've pretty much ruled out anything to the left of that line in terms of where I'm going to kill a clan castle, because if I kill a clan castle down there, it's not going to do anything but kill the clan castle. Those troops are then going to die and be wasted, so it's got to be up this side. So then I think, let's clear some of these lines. Then I start to think, what else can I get when I kill a clan castle, and how many golems do I need to bring? So, taking a closer look at the base, let's just take a little look around the base first actually. Look at this outer ring here. There's a spot there, there's a spot there, and I think that might be it actually. I don't remember there being any more. So they're giant bomb spots potentially, or Tesla spots. Me and Mealy had a bit of a chat around this here, and eventually decided it was a Tesla, and there was some kind of reason why he wanted Hogs to do that, which was wrong. But it was hard to read this base because the guy who built it clearly wasn't trying to achieve the same things that I would be trying to achieve with the base. So I did misread a few things on it. Didn't really matter, but it was quite interesting that that was a giant bomb in the end. I'm not really sure what that would achieve other than perhaps killing wizards, which would go this way, whereas golems perhaps would go this way. So I can understand as a defense against a go wee wee or a go why you might put your giant bomb there. So possible giant bomb spots there. So the rest must be in the middle. There's a spot there, and apart from that, the spots are all on this side. So it does make it a good side to come in from with the golem. You might be able to detonate something. And because I was using a hog rider attack, my main concern was a double giant bomb, and the only spot for that was here. And it wasn't a double giant bomb spot as it turned out, but that is the major threat that I face in the base. There could be a double giant bomb there. So to attack from this side, the value I will get is I will kill a queen, I'll kill a clan castle, and I'll potentially detonate a double giant bomb. So I felt that was the highest value I could get out of that stage of the attack. And now I know that the 2-1-2 in the clan castle, which is 2 witches, a wizard and 2 barbarians, is going to kill the enemy clan castle 9 times out of 10. So if you're looking at building up a raid in blocks, in sections, that's something I can do and know that it'll work. In this case I think I did cook my own witches, but I still use the same kind of combination. So block 1 is getting the lure, and out of that I got the value of killing this cannon, and then building block 2 of the raid is killing the enemy clan castle, and what other value I can get out of that. So let's go back now and clear some of this, and I'm going to try and drop in to the raid at certain points, little bits of the replay. So I'll cut it now, and hopefully I'll be able to bring in a little bit of replay here at this point. If that doesn't work, you'll just get this bit of chat. Sorry, I meant to say, if that doesn't work, you'll get this chat and there'll be no replay attached, so I apologise if that's the case. Okay, it does seem to have worked. So through the fog of all of my editing difficulties, and I must say Windows Live Movie Maker is a really bad editing software, so if anyone knows a better one, do let me know. But through the fog of all of that, here it is, the opening stage of the raid. Slow down a bit because this is not a rushed video. I had actually planned to deploy those hogs when the queen had wandered around the other side. You can kind of watch her and see when she's further away, and I thought, oh, I'll wait till she's further away. The hogs will survive a bit longer. I didn't. You know what it's like when you start deploying for the real raid. A little bit nervous, you just kind of go for it. So, getting the clan castle lure though, fairly easily, and killing that one defense. And now you can see what I like to do is drop in a couple of barbarians to distract, then the 2 witches, then the 2 wizards, which I used in this case, and then my queen. More barbarians, just dropping them around. I just think they just make a good distraction, making sure they stay ahead of my wizards rather. I don't want to lose wizards at any point. There's no real defences in this area, so it was really easy to create my funnel. You can see I can drop that wizard down the bottom there to destroy the barracks. I dropped one up the top as well just because I didn't like the fact the enemy clan castle had spread out. I just wanted to kind of get on top of it, so I dropped one wizard up the north there as well, just to make sure that my attacking clan castle didn't get overwhelmed. And there you can see the skeletons doing all of the distracting, and the DPS troops damaging the enemy troops, taking them down, and making sure that the clan castle is completely out of the game. So if you're interested in seeing how that kind of lure works, there it is for you. Okay, so let's continue on with you, Doodle. So at this point in the raid, the decision is how many golems do I need to bring to support my clan castle kill and to support my heroes when I drop them in. And one of the things that informed my thinking, and probably isn't a part of good planning, was just that recently I've struggled to adjust to having the lower level heroes. A level 30 hero is like having a golem, whereas a level 12 or 13 hero, which is I think what I've got on Lizpig, is nowhere near as effective. And so partially this wasn't good planning, it was just me thinking I probably need another golem to support me. I'm not strong enough to go without 2 golems. The other thing that I was thinking about at that stage was how many hogs do I actually need? When I cook a hog rider attack, I try not to use too many hogs. I don't think you need more than 20 hogs in most cases if you feel that you can keep them healed around the base. If 20 hogs hit a building, it dies instantly. If 25 hogs hit a building, it dies instantly. So what have you gained for those extra 5 hogs? Not a lot. So partially the reason I brought 2 golems was I felt that if I dropped 4 hog riders perhaps for my lure on the cannon at the top, I'd still have, I think, 18 hog riders, and I felt like that would be enough on this base, particularly because the plan was to detonate the 1 double giant bomb spot, so I didn't really feel like I was going to lose a whole lot of hogs. So I decided on 2 golems, and the idea would be for wall breakers to destroy perhaps here and here, hopefully here, and come into here and knock out the 2 giant bombs, kill the queen, kill the clan castle, and in this case, because there's 2 golems, probably distract quite a few defences in this side of the base and support the hog riders really well. I decided as well not to bring a jump spell because I think jumping here would just allow me access to 1 new compartment that I wanted to be in. And that's not good value for a spell. I think you need to get a lot of your spells. You've only got 4 at Town Hall 9. So I went with a rage because I knew the rage would allow me to destroy the wall quickly, and it would allow me to destroy the buildings in this area more quickly. I think I said on the recap video, it wasn't the best decision I've ever made. It wasn't the most high value spell ever, but it was good enough for this base in this case. Maybe if I dropped it here I would have got more out of it, but I think, to be honest, it didn't really matter. It was more about getting good quick access to the base, knocking out those giant bombs, and perhaps killing a few of the buildings in the bargain, but that wasn't really what it was for. So it was difficult to decide on that first spell. The other thing I could have done was a lightning, but I feel like there's no point risking a lightning which you could miss with if you've got a nice clean area like here where you can just kill the lure. Okay, so what's next? With this raid not being too difficult, there's not a whole lot else to think about, but the last thing is the hog pathing, and that is tricky, and a lot of that plays into where you're going to drop your heals. I've got 3 heals to use, and I need to think, where am I going to drop them to get maximum value? And in this case it was fairly easy, and in a way that detracts from the value of this video, because you know you want to hear how you take on a really difficult base, but it also highlights very well how you can get good high value heals, and I think that's the best thing I can show with this replay, the high value heals that I was able to find. We talked about this earlier, but you've got possible giant bomb spots that the hogs are actually going to path past, here and here. This could be a Tesla, it could be a giant bomb as well. If it's a Tesla, it's not going to path me onto a giant bomb, so it doesn't really play into my thinking. These should be eliminated, and you've got bomb spots here, here, and here. So clearly, although I'm hoping that the kill squad will come in this way and take out them, you can't guarantee that that's going to happen. You don't really know what your kill squad's going to do once it gets past this area here, because there's a lot of buildings. There could be skeleton traps in there, etc., which could distract them. So I want a heal for this area here, no matter what. That heal I'm going to save towards the end, because I'm going to send my hogs in from the same direction as my kill squad. Let's tidy this up actually. Sorry. I'm going to send my hogs in from the same direction as the kill squad. I'm a big fan of that because I think you may as well benefit from the DPS being focused on the golems, the king, etc. And also, by killing these sort of defences here, you take the pressure off the kill squad, and hopefully your king and queen survive to the end. And I find that works in a lot of my raids. That's something I do quite often. So if I was to send them in here, my kill squad's probably going to take out these buildings by that point. Not necessarily, but probably. The hogs are therefore going to hit this wizard tower. And then I'm just going to cut it here because I think this could be a little bit of a difficult section, so I want time to be able to talk. So before we jump into the next bit, let's just see what we've got so far in terms of the raid. So we've seen the lure, which is very simple, destroying the cannon, and we've seen the 2-1-2 type clan castle kill, which is going to destroy the defensive clan castle, and at the same time with a few wizards going to create the outer ring, and to an extent create the inner ring by destroying some of those trash buildings that are inside the base as well. But let's just show a little bit more now. So slowing it down, you can see I've got my wall breakers in, and I do try to time that so mortar doesn't fall on me. It was pretty close. It's always very difficult in a live raid, but it's worth at least looking. Then dropping the rage, and now I think it's probably safer to drop more wall breakers because the rage will speed them up into the gap there. So dropping in the golems, I was a little bit slow with that, but they're heading in generally the right direction. And then I didn't drop both wall breakers at the same time because you see there he looks like he's going to meet with that mortar. He doesn't, but he almost does, so it's good to sort of spread the wall breakers out. And there you'll see they'll create the gap in the wall, and the troops are going to go in, and it's not a double giant bomb, but they're going to at least detonate one of those bombs. And there you go, that's the first part of the raid, and the value I got for the kill squad, and the first bit of value I got out of the golems as well. Okay, let's continue with hog pathing. I'm going to try not to bore the pants off you with this hog pathing, because to me it is very interesting, and there is a lot I could possibly say about it, and that's probably because I'm learning it again. I used to do a lot of hog rider attacks. They probably weren't even that good hog rider attacks, but I did know which way my hogs would go. Recently I've been doing a lot more balloon attacks, and I've almost sort of forgotten how to use hog riders a little bit, so it's interesting getting back into it and seeing how they behave. And the reason that they differ from balloons, and again I don't want to go into too much detail, but I'm just going to draw over the top of this, so bear with me for a minute. I'm just going to try and draw a 4x4 grid. This is what I've been thinking about, and I think this is correct. If you are dropping over, it probably should have been 3x3 actually, and In fact, I've gone mad. It's a 2x2 grid. Let's start again. Liz is laughing at me under her breath next to me here. But this is how you place your buildings on a grid like that. I think I'm right in saying. So a balloon will go in to here and then drop its payload. At that point, personally, I think it normally stops dead center there, but sometimes it stops just before it, and therefore balloons will favour a defence to either side. They'll go that way or that way. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right, Liz. Liz is just texting me to make my sound go off, and then apologising, and then laughing. But we're too far into this for me to stop now, so you got to hear a little bit of Liz there. So the balloons will favour going left and right, slightly ahead of going forward. Hogs, on the other hand, attack around this area here, so they'll favour moving to the sides slightly differently. It's not a huge change, but balloons tend to be more likely to go to a defence that's placed, say, here or here, whereas hogs will kind of double back on themselves that way or that way. And if that diagram isn't complicated enough for you, then I don't know what ever will be. So let's wind that back, delete that for now. I'll certainly be giving that some more thought and trying to watch replays and see what they do, but it definitely affects pathing a little bit, and it's worth bearing in mind if you're looking at a really difficult base. And I think as well it'd be very interesting to sort of look at King Witox's attacks against the general and see how the hogs always path the same way and the way they do it, because he's so good at getting them to go and trigger those bombs one at a time, and I'm sure that's a technique we could use often to get really good results. So let's clean all this up for now and talk about the hog raid again. So as I said, coming in from here. Now, I'm assuming these defences are going to be destroyed, or perhaps that will still be alive, but it's going to be way out of range of the hogs. There's no defences beyond those defences, so the hogs are not going to go into it and do sort of a core raid, as I would call it. They're not going to do a raid all around this area here, yeah? They're going to go around the side. So that's fairly obvious. They're probably going to go from Wizard Tower to Archer Tower. Some will then attack this, and this is where it gets tricky, because the hogs will come from the Wizard Tower and they'll attach onto the two different sides of the Archer Tower, some here and some here. The ones here will then go to the air defence, and the ones here will then go to the mortar. But generally they're all going to stay together, which is nice from my point of view, and it makes my heal placement easier. Now, when they're here, they're not going to be under a huge amount of DPS. They'll be under a bit, but based on the ranges of these defences, everything at least from here will be probably, unless something has gone drastically wrong, focused on the golems and the king, the kill squad essentially. So I don't need a heal in this area here. The other reason I wouldn't heal there, let's clean it up again, is there's a possible giant bomb there, there's one there. The second one isn't really a risk to me because the hogs should never pass there, so we've got one giant bomb to deal with. So in the heat of the moment, it's difficult to get the heal placements exactly right, but what I would ideally want would be a heal that either covered those defences and the giant bomb, or probably, slightly better, those defences and the giant bomb. The reason I say that's better is because this is the last place they're going to end up, and you want the last place they end up to be under a heal, so if they hit the bomb, they're then under a heal subsequent to that and can be healed back up to full health. So, we've dealt with, let's do this now and show what we've dealt with. We've dealt with that cannon and that, the queen, and all of that with the kill squad and the first hog deployment. I've now dealt with this section of the base. So I used a spell there and a spell there. I've got two left and I've got two sections left. So the terms I'm thinking in are not I'll heal my hogs when they're damaged, but where should I drop my heals to keep the hogs up best? It's worth mentioning at this stage, there was a balloon dropped in here on this this building. As I said, there was a bit of chat with me and Millie about this being a hog ring of some sort. It wasn't, and it was probably pointless doing it. But once the air defence was down, there was no harm in dropping in one balloon. The only harm would be if there was a seeking air mine there, it would have wiped it out and it would have been a waste. But the trade-off I thought was good enough that if there was some kind of trick or trap along that hog ring, in retrospect it wasn't worth it, but it was a trade of one balloon there, and I think I dropped perhaps two here. It was a good trade anyway to avoid any kind of risk in that regard. So the hogs at that point have obviously because of this here, not pathed this way, they've gone this way. And this is where the video is almost certainly out of time, so I hope this is alright. Well, let's go back and clear that again. So they're pathing round, and this is almost the hog ring in this case. So not a good hog ring, but taking in these defences as well at the same time. So my next heel, clearly, I'm going to want to drop here. Reason being, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I'm really lucky, 6 defences and a possible giant bomb spot again. So if you heal a giant bomb spot with is it level, yes, level 5 hogs, they're not going to die. The heal will keep them alive. So I've pretty much guaranteed the survival of all of my hogs, barring a few that probably get hit by the king and get hit by skeletons at the same time, etc. through sections 1, 2 and now 3. So the final thing, and something that wasn't necessary in this raid, let's section that off as well. We've got to there now pretty much. It's a bit optimistic, we've got to there. So this wasn't actually necessary in the raid because of the effectiveness of the kill squad, but my final heal, my third heal, clearly is here. But I would favour, and I've probably not drawn it in the best place, I would favour it being here to cover that spot, and that spot. Wasn't required as it happened. I think I dropped it here just to keep the hogs up against what the last few things that were hitting them, but it really wasn't necessary. But that is how I would design my heal placement. So when you go into the raid, nothing's winged. You know, obviously you've got to be adaptable as the raid goes on, and I would have liked to have talked about that as well, but I think it probably would take too long, and this being an easy base, it wasn't one where I needed to be particularly adaptable. I'll perhaps do another video if this one proves popular, talking about things that could go wrong. But really, if you've got a base like this, not a lot's going to go wrong. So you're just thinking, well, the hog riders are the main stage, how will I keep them alive through the base? And that's how I would do it. In terms of things that could go wrong, obviously at the start of the raid you need to funnel, and you've got these buildings on the outside and these on the inside that could spoil your attack and send the troops the wrong way. It wasn't part of my plan when I did it, but in retrospect, killing this cannon helped me funnel through that side, and I did actually purposefully drop wizards around this area here. Haven't been able to draw them very well, but there and there, to destroy these two buildings, just to make sure things didn't go wandering this way. Particularly I'm thinking about the king, he likes to go walk about. The queen, not so much. The other thing, let's just clear that up again. The other thing is that once you start to penetrate in through here, the queen will shoot, assuming nothing else was alive, the queen would shoot this, then this, if I dropped her here. Would shoot those two buildings, she would then probably shoot this one, then this one, then this one. So queens tend to go inside, and they tend to naturally like to create funnels. She'd then shoot that, then that. You can kind of go on like that, so you can trust your queen will work her way inside. It's not completely correct. She probably would actually choose to shoot this bit of wall, this bit of wall, this bit of wall, but you get the idea. She's not going to go down here, because let's say she got to here and shot this, she would then shoot this. So she's always going to turn inside, then this, then this. She's always going to turn inside. But that is something that can go wrong. You need to have the troops to be prepared for that. After that, I can't really see what could go wrong with this raid, as long as I heal here, 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 and here. Unless he's got some ridiculous trap where he's got Teslas here and giant bombs here, which I think is incredibly unlikely, and if you lost a raid to that, well, fair play to the defender. The way their bases were set up, and the fact they were all set up for 2-star defense against go wipes, then that's never going to be the case. And so I've pretty much got this base boxed off in terms of what I was going to do. I'd like to do another video, hopefully, and I might do it on... I've got Mealy Pudding's replays, which I'm lucky this week in that I know how he planned his attacks, and I've also got my other attacks, so I might talk about those attacks a little bit if people think it would be valuable, just in terms of building up an attack. But it's obviously very difficult to put across exactly what goes through my head. But I think the things to take away are building up your attacking stages. So just to recap very quickly, because I know it's a very long video. Stage 1, where do I lure from? Stage 2, where do I kill the lure? Stage 3, how do I kill the queen? And stage 4, assuming I've decided on my attack type, which is hogs from here, where do I drop my heals? Yeah, and then along the way, what other value can I get from the attack? As in, where are the traps potentially, and can I also kill an air defense for a lava loon attack, let's say. But that's going to do it for now. I'll leave it at that. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I hope there's been some value added to your raids, and that you can get that 3-star you've been working on in the next war. Thanks again for watching, and Brahamid saying good luck in the midweek war, and hopefully I'll be there with you. Actually, that was perhaps a tad premature, because I just want to show now the raid playing out in full, so we can go through everything. So we've seen this before. It's the lure and killing the cannon. And then we've got the standard clan castle kill, barbarians as distraction, witches and wizards, and the queen is going to take out the defensive clan castle. 9 times out of 10 that's going to work. Extra wizards to create the funnel. Also funneling on some of the inside buildings as well. There's really not a lot of defences around there. Golems going down, the rage spell, and then you've got the wall breakers as well to let me inside. Take out that potential double giant bomb spot, although it was only 1 giant bomb, and then we'll just slow it down a bit. You'll see here the king immediately aggroes the queen, and at this point I do like to do things quite quickly. Once you're in, you know you're going to set up the giant bomb, you know you're going to aggro the queen, so just drop your hogs, you know, get on with the raid. All I'd now do is I know where I'm going to drop my heals, so I'll just keep an eye on the king and queen, and if I see they're getting low, I'll use their ability. It does mean sometimes on the replay I'll watch and think, why did I use the ability there? He wasn't in any danger for a while, I could have saved it. But to be honest, I think this is probably the better way to do it. So there you can see the hogs, some have gone into the centre, but because of the clan castle and the town hall, they are going to fall around towards the heal I've just dropped. And you can see there, I pretty much got it where I wanted it. This isn't all going to be perfect. I was nervous. I do still get nervous during my attacks, especially with melee putting watching over my shoulder. But you can see my hogs are under the heel. They're passing through where I thought the single giant bomb was. It wasn't there, but they would have been safe if it had been there. Dropping in the balloon at this point, which was also pre-planned. What I do and how I remember to do all this stuff is before the raid, I just sit and think, what do I need to drop, and I count it out in my head. So for example the lure, I'll go in my head 1 2 3 1 2 3 hogs, and in the raid I go 1 2 3 on the screen. I've failed raids before because I've dropped too many hogs, or I've never dropped too few, it's always too many, so it's a really good way to make sure you get the right amount. And there goes the next heal on the other potential giant bomb spot. It was a Tesla, but got to play it safe. And then I think in a minute, when the air defense goes down, I'll drop in the other balloons. But yeah, just picking up on that point. If I'm dropping my own clan castle kill as well, you know, with the wizards, I'll count out the wizards in my head. I know that I'm going to drop all of my hogs at the side, so that's not a big issue. But with the balloons at the side, I know that I'll go drop heal, drop balloon, drop heal, drop balloons, and I check on my bar at the bottom and what order they're going to be in, and just count it out in my head, play it out in my head a few times. I'll often load up the attack, press attack, and then think, no, hang on, I need to do it again. But it's worth doing, it's worth taking your time, rather than thinking, oh god, I forgot to drop this or I forgot to drop that. And that actually did happen on this raid, because I kind of forgot to count off the golems. But if I had counted them in my head beforehand and thought, you know, so it goes 1 2 witches, 1 2 wizards, 1 archer queen, then 1 2 golems, that would have helped me drop them more correctly. I think that's a really good thing to do. And there you can see the final heal goes down. Wasn't really required. And then I've got the goblins at the end. Another thing, I think in my other raid I forgot to drop the goblins for quite late, because again, with them not being that important, I hadn't counted them off in my head. But on that raid, because at that point I knew the raid was over and I'd won it, I was already looking along the bottom and thinking, you know, when shall I use my queen ability, when shall I drop my goblins, etc. So yeah, just let it speed back up again and just let it play out now. And this time I will say goodbye and thanks for watching, and if you've made it to the end, well done. I probably should have put like an ad break in this or something, but I'll tell you, it took me a lot longer to make it than it took you to watch it, and it was pretty tricky on Windows Live Movie Maker. I definitely won't be doing that again, but it was interesting, definitely worth doing, hopefully valuable to somebody, and hopefully it'll help me make some better videos in future. So thanks again, and speak to you guys again soon.